Stella, did you know that you would win a journal this evening?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for always being present in these book reviews. So today's, I personally chose this book. I really wanted us to read this book. Why? Because Ed Milet is an amazing author. I've read one of his other books, Max Out, and I listen to his podcasts on my way to work. He has a lot of energy, and reading this book, you get to understand a bit of that energy. Now, Primera talked a bit about the title, but the title, we need to understand why that title, The Power of One More. He came up with that title or the entire book after his father, who was an alcoholic. He used to drink throughout his childhood, so he only knew his dad as a drunkard. And so when at one point the mother threatened to take the kids away and leave him, he said, I'll go to rehab. And every time he would go to rehab, he would come back and relapse and relapse. So this one time, he said, you know, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to rehab. And Ed asked him, but you always go and come back and drink again. And he said, I'm going one more day. I'm going one more time, and I'll see what happens. I'll keep going one more time until I get it right. And from the moment he said he would go one more time, he ended up spending over 30 years sober and became an amazing man and a mentor and a role model to Ed Milet. So that's the background of this book. So it has 19 different sections or chapters, and we're going to go through them one by one, but we are not going to complete all of them. We could stop around 10, so you get a chance to read the book and interpret it on your own. So the first one is One More Identity. Now, for every chapter, he begins the book with a quote. And in this one, it talks about time, that they always say time changes things, but you actually have to change them yourself. So the first bit is about changing yourself, changing your identity. Now, many of us don't know what our identity is. Who is Primera exactly? And he lists some of the things that confuse us. Many of us say, I am what I possess. If I have a lot of money, I'm a rich person. And I think that is my identity. I am what I possess. I am my accomplishments. I see many names here I see CEOs, I see board members, I see managers, I see CEOs. Many times we confuse our achievement for our identity. And then he talks about, I am what people say I am. When people come on to this book review, they are showing, oh, we know Klaire, she loves books, that's her identity. So if I take that and say that is my identity, I'm wrong. What I look like means everything. So some people, their identity is based on what they look like. So if I'm very pretty, if I'm very good looking, I have a perfect body, that is who I am. So those are some of the misconceptions he mentions, and says that if you want to know your true identity, if you want to be successful, and if you want to change your life, first you need to understand who you are. And it gives a few steps of how we can do that. There are three. One is faith, It can be based on your faith. What do you believe about yourself? If you understand what the Bible says about you, what your beliefs are, that can define you. And then your intention. Every single time you wake up in the morning, what is your intention? What do you do? Why do you do what you do? And then the third one is your associations. If you're to find your identity, look around the kind of people you hang out with. Those people will eventually become your identity. I will identify Kathy by her friends, by the company that she keeps. So one more identity asks us to go and first understand who we are, and then we can be able to succeed. And then the second one more, and living in your matrix. Now, that chapter was a bit long, but to summarize it, it's about the one. Yeah, he talks about being the one in his family, the one who broke the yoke of poverty in his family. He's a millionaire. And he says, through him, many things have happened to his family. That one can be you. You have the potential to be the one. Many times we say in our family, I'm the first to graduate. In our family, we're all broke. In our family, this disease is in our family. In our family, they all die young. In our family, so the things that we say about our families, you can break that. In this book, it talks about you being the game changer. You can decide to start speaking generational positivity into your life. You can be the one to change the destiny of your family. And how do you do that? He talks about having your antennas out there. In the first part, he talks a lot about the thermostat. I missed that. Now, the thermostat is the basis of the entire book. That when you enter a room, especially like our offices that have AC, when you enter a room, there's a certain thermostat that shows the temperature of your room. So if your temperature is low, like 75, and someone else's room is, or thermostat is at 100, you need to be able to adjust to that level. So our lives are thermostats. If you evaluate your life, what is the level of your thermostat? Yeah, it doesn't matter what the outside looks like. If it's really, really hot and you enter, it's like when you enter, I don't know, when you enter like game stores or capital shoppers, the minute you enter the doors, there's a different kind of temperature that hits you. So we need to be able to check the thermostat of our lives. And then he talks about, if you're going to be the one, you must be ready to look at the opportunities. Your antennas have to be up. Yeah, you have to be very alert. Every single time you have to look for the opportunities. There's a quote in there that says, few things are more expensive than opportunities you miss. Many times when you miss an opportunity, someone calls you for a job and you have no CV. Someone says, send the CV right now. In 2 minutes, I'm with the boss. And you say, I've never updated my CV. That is a problem. You can only be the one in your family if you're always ready. And the third chapter talks about one more try. Many of the books that we have read in the book club talk about one quality that is essential to success. Now, that quality is mentioned here again. It is persistence. Persistence. If you persist in whatever endeavor, you will succeed. So in this chapter, it talks about it ain't over until it's over. So it's about pushing and having that compound effect. It gives a number of examples. One is the one of the pinata. I think it's a South American culture. Mexican and Brazilians, when they have birthdays, they hang a big animal with sweets inside, and the children have to keep hitting it until it bursts open with sweets. So many times children hit it and give up quickly. And they're like, you know what, I can't do it. And then one person comes and hits it and it bursts into, a confetti of sweets. And he relates that to us. Many times we give up too quickly. We give up too soon. You try a business idea, and because of one disappointment, you decide you're not going to go for that business. You try to apply, do something, and you can't. You just stop, just short of success. Now, here he talks about the power of one more try. In this book, I learned that I need to persist. Yeah, I need to be able to show up every single time. Even if you've tried again and again, you need to persist in whatever you set your mind to. And this can, work in all the different areas of our lives. So we need to persist. And in there, it talks about the different things that limit us from having from succeeding. One is the things that we say to ourselves. Many times we are our worst enemy. The voices in our heads, they keep telling us you cannot, you need to give up, it's not worth it, it will never happen. Sometimes it's our voices, sometimes it's the voices of the people around us. So the power of one more try. If we are to succeed, we need to be able to give, to persist in whatever we do. The next one, I think, will be done by Primera. She's a guru in time management. So I invite Primera to take us through the fourth, one more, and the 5 principles of time management. Primera?
Thank you very much, Klaire. Time guru, but still learning, so we can learn together. So number 4 was one more, and the 5 principles of management, of time management specifically. And there's a book I really like, which is about 168 hours. If you've come across it, but I'll share the title some other time in another forum. But it's basically about understanding how many hours are in your day. We all, like the basic principles of school, we are told 60 seconds, make a minute. Every hour has 60 minutes. We know that. But how do you make the best out of that time to be able to build one more? So we may think that we have so much time, but time is finite. He talks about it being something that we can never get back. But then there's something, if you are 35 today, you can never be 25 again. That's because time has passed. So we should think of it like that. Then there's also a difference between how we perceive time as individuals and how time is actually consumed. So our perception actually affects how we make use of our time. He goes on to ask, are there days when you say, oh, the day is dragging? Or some days you say, where has the day gone? Or where has the weekend gone? Because it's Sunday evening and you have no idea how that time passed. So he says our relationship with time affects so many things. So many things in our lives. So we need to be able to understand that relationship with time. Do we look at time as do we look at time as something that is going to be fulfilling? Do we look at it as a valuable asset into our lives? Because it's finite. It's not like money. You can make more money, but you cannot make more time. So he gives us 5 principles on how we can be able to manage time. Number 1, he says we can add more days to our day. For example, he gives an example in the book where he says he divides his days into 3. This, for the last couple of weeks, I've been working with breaking my days in 8-8-8. Okay, so that means 8 hours is my full day. Okay, so within a day, I have full 3 days. And that's the example. So when I was reading the book, I was like, wow, because I've been experimenting that, because I'm trying to say, okay, I need to sleep 8 hours to be productive. And I'll show you what he talks about it later on. So that means I have 8 hours of full work, which I can use for full work. Then another 8 hours, which can be used for maybe family time and other activities that I have. And then 8 hours of sleep. So for him, he also uses the same concept. He's like, in my day, I'm going to split it into 3. But because we are all different and our needs are different, we are going to split those hours differently for each one of us. That means you're living 3 days in 1 day. So if you have your 8-hour block and it says it's a work block, what does that actually mean? What are we going to do in that work block? That means I'm not going to do anything that is going to steal my time in that work block. I will switch off my social media. I'm not going to look at my emails. I'm just going to focus on work and actually finish it. And then the 8-hour block, what am I doing? And the 8-hour block where I'm supposed to be sleeping, or maybe depending on us as individuals. Then the approach time with a great sense of urgency. Now, if I have my 8-hour block where I'm supposed to be doing my work, it's my office time, then I need to treat it with urgency. What are those things that I have to finish within that time? I'm never going to get this time back. Not this thing of, I got 8 hours, I have too much time. Basically, it's my 8 hours, it's my 1 day. I have to treat it with so much urgency that, like, as if that I'm sure I'm never getting that time back. Then he says, learn how to control your time instead of time controlling you. Now, in that essence, that means he talks about the first 30 minutes of your day or your morning. I know we know this, but we are reiterating it again, like he said. The 30 minutes of your day, make sure that your day either goes really well or it doesn't go well. So how are we going to use that 30 minutes, the first 30 minutes of our day? Wake up, maybe we exercise, maybe we wake up, get ready for work. And there's a book we read before, it was Dream Big. And then one of the first chapters of that book, that was last year, was talking about some of those things that we do. Actually, it was the happiness, resisting happiness. It was book Resisting Happiness, where we talked about even snoozing your alarm affects the start of your day. So just snoozing your alarm, okay, affects that first 30 minutes of your day. Then he talks about number 4, being able to measure your performance often. So we have created targets of our day. We have created, you have created your 8 hours, and then you have chosen these tasks to complete. Now, we usually have goal setting sessions at the beginning of the year, at the middle of the year. Now, that's too late to start measuring your performance. It has to be like a daily thing, a weekly thing, and it's just habits that we have to develop gradually to say, what did I achieve everything I'd set out to do? How are we maybe prioritizing our task list? There's a point where he talks, somewhere in the book, where he talks about being able to make sure that we finish the hardest things first in the morning, like those things that, oh my goodness, that report that you've been saying I'm going to write for days, and then you get to office and then you have to say, today I have to start on this report, I'm not going to do anything else, that's the first thing I'm going to do and finish it. And when we start with the hardest things first, then that means even the rest of our days just goes really, really well. Then the other one he says is focus on the future. The past is gone forever. Let it go. All it does is steal your joy. It steals your time from the things you need to be doing. Then there's a quote that he closes with that I really liked, by Charles Darwin. A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. Thank you very much. Back to you, Klaire.
Thanks, Primera. There's one quote that I expected you to comment about. It's about people wasting your time.
Yes.
I think there's a bit of that. It's saying approach time with greater sense of urgency. Yeah. And says if you want people to value your time, eventually they will. And he puts a quote there that when people see you're no longer wasting time, they begin not to waste your time. And so when you look at our environment right now with so many distractions, I think we learned about them in Undistracted. We read a book, Undistracted, and it talks about the social media and all those other things. If you are a slave to these distractions, it's very difficult to be productive. And that leads us to number 5, chapter 5, which talks about one more emotion. One more emotion. And I learned something, Primera, today when I was reading this book. We live in an emotional home. I had never thought about it like that. We live in an emotional home, and how you feel it up becomes your reality. So we have all these emotions of joy, of rage, of anger, of heartache. We have all these emotions every day, and it's a house. You get to let the right people into your house. So if you look at your life right now, how are you filling up your house? What emotions are filling up your life? What are you letting in? Sometimes it's a guest, like unforgiveness, who comes in and stays in your house for years, you know. So here he talks about how we can change the emotions that we have in our life. If you're filled with a lot of unforgiveness or bitterness or regret of a past mistake, you can find a change of balance by identifying the triggers. What triggers your worry as an emotion? What triggers your anger as an emotion? And once you understand the triggers, you'll be able to handle them. Then it talks about finding balance. You need to find balance. It's not like every single time Klaire has to be happy-go-lucky all the time. No, but find the balance. Find self-control. Manage the emotions. You need to be able to not to let some of the emotions get the better of you, especially in, for example, in our corporate spaces. You cannot have outbursts every time someone steps on your toes. You must be able to control yourself. Talks about meditating, and then, like Primera said, you need to resolve to change the way you think. You need to be able to make that decision that I'm not going to let these thoughts control my life. If someone betrayed you, hurt you, you have to make a decision to control your thinking. And I wanted to share something that has worked for me. Here I've written a book, 52 weeks affirmation, positive. I don't know whether you sing it in reverse. I'm saying it in reverse. Positive statements that you can say to yourself every day to start your day right. So it helps control your mind. And then the number 6 is one more association. That's very relatable to Project Girls for Girls. Who are the people you associate with? One more association. You will never outperform your inner circle. You can be the best performer, most well-behaved, the most ambitious. As long as you're surrounded by the wrong people, you will never outperform your inner circle. And he gives an example of a bull's eye. There are many rings around the bull's eye, and you're in the middle. The people you let into the inner circle will eventually define you. They will eventually influence you, even if you start out as the light in that circle. And so it talks about auditing. Have an audition to your inner circle. How do you determine who gets in to the inner circle? And then here there's some homework. The homework is have a closer look at your inner circle of friends. You need to be able to have standards of the people who you associate with, because eventually they will affect you. In there's a quote, proximity to people causes familiarity, and our brains move towards familiarity. And so we need to be able to look at our friends. And it talks about everything expires. Everything has an expiry date, even friendships. There are friendships that may not serve you, that served you in the past, very well in the past, but may not serve you in the season you're in right now. You need to be able to have friends who have the same standards, same ambitions. They don't have to be identical. They don't have to be identical. But if you have totally different beliefs, you're bound to mess up. And did I just go through Primera? I think I did. Just, can you do 7, or should I continue?
And that's okay. I can go through 7, but it was your favorite.
Oh, one more dream. Number 7 is about one more dream. I think I'm called the lady of dreams, I think. Yeah, I always walk around telling people you need to dream big. You must dream big. And here there's a whole chapter on dreaming big, one more dream. It talks about letting go of the past. Many times we look at the past, we keep looking in the rear view mirror, and we expect to succeed. Like Primera said, we need to look to the future. We are encouraged by most of the books that we have read. Most of them talk about living in the now, but planning for the future. And there is no book that has encouraged us to always keep our eye on the past, no book. And so we need to dream big. How are you going to dream big? How are you going to confidently go in the direction of your dreams if you have none? Yeah. If I ask people on this call, what are your dreams? What are those grand dreams that you have for your life right now? You should be having them on your fingertips. You need to have them in your imagination. This is what I want to do in the next 5 years. This is what I envision for my life. Because if you don't have that dream, yeah, you will stay where you are. We are 1 month away to the end of the month. We are going into a new year. And many times that's the time we think about our dreams. We are dreaming big. We're saying this is our year. We're saying 2022 was our year. Now, okay, now that one's done. Okay, let's say 2023 is our year. And you keep changing the goalpost. And in the meantime, the clock is ticking. In here, he has a quote: the happiest people in life operate out of their imagination, out of their dreams, and not out of their histories. So you cannot enjoy your life if you're always reflecting on your history. He gives an example of Thomas Edison. All of you know him. He's responsible for this light bulb that we see. And he said he had 2 things that worked for him. One was imagining a life with a light bulb. He just imagined it in his mind. And the second thing, he had a lot of garbage. He had a lot of garbage to work with in order to come up with just one simple light bulb that changed history. So in order for us to succeed, we need to be able to dream one more dream. What are some of those dreams that you have buried? As we come to the end of the year, reflect on them, bring them back to the table, put them back on the table, and dream again. Have a grand imagination. The biggest challenge that we have right now is that we have settled. We have settled for mediocre jobs. We have settled for mediocre relationships. We have settled for mediocre lives. We need to be able to go above mediocrity and be able to excel in different areas of our lives. So in chapter 6, he encourages us to have one more dream. Primera, you can take us through number 8.
Thank you very much. Also in that chapter, he talks about us. There's a comment you made the other week about being in kindergarten, thinking like we're in kindergarten. And in that chapter, they also talk about it. Think about a 4-year-old. If you've had children, you know, they think here now. Am I satisfied? Am I happy? Look at your own children, nieces, nephews. They think about the moment. So we need to be more like that. Just dream, keep dreaming, even if we have had so many barriers, forget the past and then just rethink that. Chapter 8 talks about one more question to ask ourselves. And the first quote there is, the unexamined life isn't worth thinking, isn't worth living. So this chapter is really about how do we ask questions? How do we ask questions about our lives, about our thoughts? Klaire has shown you the book. I have had a chance to review the book and get the first copies of the book. And it's a very easy book to read. I gave it to my 10-year-old. He's very happy. He reads one quote a day and energy back to our lives. Because when you're asking yourself questions and there are things going through your mind, are you asking yourself the right questions? And are you feeding your mind with the right things? So he also asks, what are we thinking constantly in our lives? And then he says, he defines thinking as the process of asking and answering questions about ourselves. This chapter took me a lot about into the idea of self-awareness. How do we ask questions and probe our questions in our lives? We ask good questions, we get good answers, we get a better life. Okay. Then he also talks about being able to do a lot of self-examination in our lives. That means you have to ask the right questions, not just questions. You're asking about the right questions that help us arrive at the right answers. Then sometimes looking at ourselves is not always fun. I've had that point in my life when I had to do that and constantly have to do that. Sometimes we are critical of ourselves. Sometimes we don't have a lot of self-accountability. And then when we look into ourselves so critically, we have nowhere to hide. So we need to be able to ask the right questions and then get answers to be able to remove those roadblocks, to be able to help us to be able to make good change in our lives. So what one more powerful question are you going to ask yourself? Not one time, but several times a day to be able to help you with self-examination of your own life. Then in the book, they have given us a list of questions that you can actually ask yourself. So I'm going to go through the first 5, and then after that, you will have to find the book to be able to go through the rest. The first question is, what one more thing can I do to show my spouse or the people that I love them? What question will I ask? What one thing can I do to improve my relationship with my children? Is there one more thing I can do to make my family feel more special? Is there one more thing I can do to show my appreciation to the people I work with? What's one more way I can adjust my thinking so that I can have fewer excuses in my life? So those are some of the questions we should ask ourselves. But there are more in the book. There are quite a number. I think there are about 41 questions that you can ask yourself. And you can see what is it, which phase of your life are you in, and what questions do you need to ask yourself. Then they ask us another question. What are the answers to the questions that we're asking ourselves? What is that one more question that you need to ask yourself? And what is the answer to that one more question that you need to ask yourself? Then the best answers are the ones which are so difficult to address. That means if you think we are going to address them in a single day, it's not going to be possible. But what we are learning today is, first, don't be afraid to ask the questions. The answers, the more difficult the question, the better the answers, and the better our life is going to be. So some of these questions that we are going to ask ourselves, the answers are not going to be immediate. You have to know that you have to keep searching. Sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's a couple of years to be able to find the answers to some of those questions. But The most admirable trait of a one more thinker is to be able to ask yourself another one question that is difficult for you to answer in your life. Thank you, and back to you. Okay, it's okay. Let me continue. Then the other part of that book was chapter 9, which was talking about goals. And this is a very interesting topic because Klaire, Kathy, and I do these goal setting sessions every year. So it was one of those chapters that also took us back and to be able to reevaluate as we're even trying to plan for this year's sessions. And one of the things that the book talks about is that goals are energy. They are a source of life, yeah, and they affect the state of our being, okay? The moment we start working on those goals, remember, we started with the first topic today, the first chapter today. We have gone through being able to dream over and over. Even when we have come through huge disappointments in our life, we still need to go to kindergarten style. What does a 4-year-old behave? How are they? So at that point, we need to also set goals for our life. Goals are energy for our life. Okay. Again, what we think is what we actually receive from the world. So we need to proactively fill our mind with amazing things, and those dreams have to become goals so that we're able to action them, so that they actually materialize to what we want. Now, when Klaire was talking, she also told us to think about the relationship, about our standards, our values. So there is actually a relationship between our standards, our values, and our goals. So as a person, if I want to say I want to make maybe 100 million shillings in 2023 as savings, that is my goal as a person. What am I going to do to be able to get it? There are some people who will go to lengths that are wrong. Yeah, session 6 of G4G. Being able, decision making, the ability to make good decisions, gray, black, white, where do we fall? So if you're going to fall in gray areas constantly, that means your standards, your values are going to compromise you. Are you going to achieve your goals? Most likely, maybe yes, in the short term, but in the long term, your life may just go entirely wrong. So basically, being able to think about our goals, how we're going to achieve them, and what are we going to put in? What is the effort we're going to put in? And how are they aligned to our value system and to our standards? Then the other thing about goals is being able to keep them simple and flexible. Now, when we say, okay, it's beginning of year, we are setting goals, but beginning of year to all of us should look like the same. You should view December, Jan, the same as July or August of the year. It's still the same. You are setting goals. They should be simple. So sometimes we go through the wheel of life. We show you the 7 dimensions. Sometimes we extrapolate them to even 14 dimensions. But that's all to just help you create a level of self-awareness. But when it comes to setting goals, keep them simple. Sometimes we ask people to just sit and write like 25 goals or things you'd like to do. And then now come and take them out, split them up, see which ones you can combine and be left with few goals. Now, those goals depend on you as a person. There is nothing fixed. There is nothing that we say that you must do. You must have 10 goals. You must have 2 goals. You must have 3 goals. Even 3 goals are sufficient. It depends on you as a person and what you want to achieve for your own life. Then he also talks about creating goals as when you're creating goals, you need to be in your peak state. That means you need to be in a good state of mind, in terms of health of your body, in terms of even in terms of relationships that you have around you. So the idea that maybe I should set goals at only specific times of the year, it is wrong. For us, we kickstart your life. We keep reminding you, okay, you need to set these goals, you need to do this. But you need to set goals when you're at your best so that you are proactive, you're not being reactive to different things in your life. So just remember, your mind has to be optimal, your body function has to be optimal. So choose a time to set goals when you are actually very clear in terms of what you're doing. Then the other one about setting goals, in making sure that they are compelling reasons that drive those goals. Don't say I'm going to save 100 million because I saw it on my friend's task or on my friend's goal list. It has to be yours. Something that makes that you're emotionally connected to. Something that you know that I have to achieve this, because you need that motivation, the drive the whole year to be able to achieve it. If there is if you're very motivated to achieve a goal, most likely you're going to be able to get it done. Then the other component is that goals are directly connected to your self-worth. Okay, I have a goal to save 100 million that year, but I'm constantly having I don't have faith in myself. That means it's affecting my productivity at work. It's affecting my productivity to start that side hustle I've always promised myself. So you have to be able to make sure that you're increasing you're increasing your value and your self-worth for yourself. There's an interesting concept I came across that has been very helpful to me. It's that to first of all delink yourself as a person from the things in your ecosystem. When Klaire was starting, she started with that point about your identity. Are you linked to your identity? Is your self-worth linked to your identities? So for me, for the longest time, I worked at MTN Uganda. So after I left, everyone kept saying to them, it was so interesting. And I actually wrote an article on that identity part, because after that, I kept meeting people and everyone kept thinking, but all they did was link me with MTN Life. But for me, I had never linked my identity to my job or to my employer. So it was very interesting. And I sat down and actually thought about it and wrote an article on it. I'll share it sometime, about linking your identity and your self-worth. Those things need to be delinked. In the morning, when you look at yourself in the mirror, your self-worth is already at 100%, irrespective of what you do, irrespective of who you are, single, married, children, no children, job or no job, money or no money. Like, delink yourself from anything. So that when you choose your goals and you say, this is my goal, my self-worth is already high, so that I'm able to tag myself to a goal. If I'm going to make 100 million, I may not even have a job, but I am going to make sure that I achieve it. Hook or crook. Yesterday I was telling my friend, we were talking about some project I'm working on, and I told him, for me, this project is no retreat, no surrender. Like, no matter what, by the way, girls for girls method, from point to point, I don't even know what point B is, but I said no retreat, no surrender. We have to get this done. So as you believe, so will you achieve. So, and then he talks about a very interesting concept, which is your conscious and your subconscious. When your subconscious knows what you want to achieve, it works even without you actively working. So what is it that our subconscious is speaking from our conscious self to be able to help us achieve? Your subconscious and your conscious need to be allies. They have to work together to be able to get you what you want. Then the other part talks about is using positive energy. And positive energy is linked to what Klaire talked about chapter 6, basically understanding. They talk about a bullseye. Bullseye has concentric circles that go on and on. In the middle are the people who are the closest to you. Who are they? Go back and reflect on that chapter that Klaire talked about. Who are those people that are in your inner circle? Because the people in your inner circle affect you the most. They affect you the most. There is, okay, let me talk about my one friend who is here on the call. Okay, apart from Klaire, there's Kathy. Kathy, I call Kathy. It doesn't matter what has happened. There's always a smile, and there's always a positive thing. There's always a positive way to look at something. It's not that all the time she's going to tell me, oh, okay, no, it's not that all the time she's going to encourage me to stay in something even if it's not working or a business is not functioning, but there's always good energy. Like if I call her, I know we are going to laugh, even if something went wrong, like there'll always be good energy. So for Kathy, she's in my inner circle. Then it talks about, do not have, that inner circle doesn't have to have 20 people, 50 people. It can have the least amount of people, as long as those people are contributing positively. And if you have that in chapter 6, then chapter 9 becomes easy because the positive energy is already in your ecosystem. So if you want to achieve goals, you have to have positivity around you. Then the other thing you have to keep yourself is Klaire's book, the 365 quotes every day, and read something positive that is going to help you with your mental chatter the whole day. Then the other one is about creating goals. Creating goals, I'm just going to go through it shortly. Creating goals means we are now writing them down. We are making sure that we have, we are trying to put them in place. Our dreams are now being written down. So I'm going to go through it very, very quickly. You need to be able to write those goals, be able to make sure that things that can be measured. And one of the parts I love about myself is that I'm very visual. So I either want to see pictures, so I get a vision board every year and put the pictures together. Then I don't have to look at them every day, but they're stuck in my mind. My conscious and subconscious need to be aligned constantly. Yeah, so I'm going to stop there because we still have at least one more chapter to go before we finish. Thank you, and over to you, Klaire.
Thank you, Primera. I'd actually wrote this book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. It's one of the international bestsellers. It has been written over and over again, but it's one of the books that you should have in your library to understand the power of your thoughts, the things that you think about, and how they actually affect your life and how it has turned out. Yeah, it's by Joseph Murphy. Yeah, I had to put that out there. So number 10, and we're not going to go through all the others, but number 10 is one more higher standard. Now, this relates to the goals, like she explained. Standards are just a specific set of actions you must take to achieve your goals. And he gives a number of examples of how 9 ways to get a higher standard. I'm just going to mention maybe 1 or 2. 1 is understand your why. Why do you want $1 million? Why do you want to work in the UN? Why do you want to build a house on an island? Why do you want to achieve all these things that you want to do? Why are you doing them? And so when you have clarity on your why, it will help you get a standard and be able to achieve your goals. And then the other issue is be honest with yourself. You don't look at Primera's vision board and take it for your own. Just because Primera wants to achieve this, you say, oh yeah, me too, I want to have the same. No, be honest with yourself. Will this thing that you want to achieve serve you, or you're living someone else's dream? So it goes through 9 different things that you can do to find out the exact steps to take in order for you to have to succeed and to achieve the different goals. So I encourage you to go and read them. There are a number of things like look at the areas where you're weak. If you need help, seek out help. He talks about forgetting perfection, simplicity. Primera talked about simplicity. Here he talks about do not overthink. Sometimes there are people who who got vision boards at the beginning of the year, and we're in November and they haven't yet put anything on the vision board. Why? Because they're overthinking. They're overthinking it, and they have taken months without constructing the vision board without coming down with the 10 goals or 20 goals because they want things perfect. Life is not perfect. We have all these goals, but we need to have them simple. And then chapter 11, I could just highlight chapter 11, one more: impossibility thinkers and impossibility achievers. This talks a lot about your thoughts becoming your beliefs, becoming your thoughts. And one of the highlighted texts, the beauty with this book is that it kept highlighting, emphasizing or bolding the text. So here it talks about Mahatma Gandhi and his famous quotes about how your thoughts, how your beliefs become your thoughts. Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. And your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. And so it goes back to your beliefs, your thoughts, goes down to your reality and the life that you see right now. And it, from 11, when they talk about habits, chapter 12 talks about one more habit. Now, if I'm to pose this question to all the people on this call, what are some of those habits that you have created for yourself in order to succeed? I'm very, very thankful for the book club. Why? Because it has helped me create a habit of reading, and I have learned so much. I am very sure some of the people who are on this call, because there's some faces that are constant. Josephine is a constant in here, and I'm very sure that your life is very, very different from when we began 28 books, later. We need to be able to create. What are some of those habits? What are the morning routines? There are books that we have read that emphasize that the best time to create a habit is in your morning and in your evening. How do you wake up? How do you retire? What are your last thoughts before you sleep? Usually that's how you're going to wake up. And so what are some of those habits? There's a quote there that show me your habits and I will show you your life. So that is one of the things that it's a very big chapter. Please go back and read it because it says many things about habits. Then 13, one more multiplier. And I was going to stop at 10, but one more multiplier really, really emphasizes what Girls for Girls stands for. You cannot live as an island. Sometimes you have, for example, this book club, and many people assume it's Klaire. She's the one who runs the thing. No way. I don't choose the books. I just mentioned I chose this. But the books that we've read throughout the year were chosen by different people. I have the admins. Without Primera, I would fumble with this Zoom link and all that, and the promotions for the reviews and the books. So we have other people. That's a multiplier effect. You cannot be like an island. And so we encourage you. Yes, you are a genius, but you cannot do everything. You need to be able to build your network. Utilize the network that you have, the people around you, use them. Greatness, in here, he talks about greatness attracts greatness. Whatever you're looking for is looking for you. So be able to have that multiplier effect. And of the different chapters that are left, I request you to read 15, which talks about one more, defining leadership. And I want us to go through that because of the nature of Girls for Girls, why we started the book club. We want people to grow as leaders through reading books. So that is a very, very good good chapter. I don't know whether, Primera, you can comment about some of the other chapters before we close. Thank you.
We'll close with the last chapter, but for me, it was really the power of one more. The power of one more is basically applying it to every part of your life, whether it's in the area of leadership, whether it is in the area of leadership, maybe at home, at work, and in the area of your spiritual life, one more prayer. These days I ask myself, what one more can I do? What one more part of my work can I finish in my life every single day? It has like really changed the way I think. What one more word of encouragement can I give someone in my life? What one more way can I be generous? Can I be kind? So it's basically looking at every part of our lives and asking, what one more thing can I do in my life? So for us, it will be very, very different. For example, in the area of leadership, we are all leaders in one way or another. How are we doing one more? Are we listening more? Are we understanding more? Are we understanding our colleagues better? Are we taking our time to actually get to know them? What one more thing are you doing? That person has something either positive or negative. What one more step am I doing? So the question you're going to ask yourself is what one more thing am I doing in my life, in every single dimension of our life? But keep it simple. That's all from me. Thank you very much. And back to you, Klaire.
Thank you. Thank you, Primera. When I read this book, I realized I actually understood why it was voted one of the best books of 2021. Because it has that secret that we need to persist. We need to go just one more. It's like he relates a lot to exercise. Sometimes you want to give up. We are now preparing for the MTN marathon, and we are running for babies. So I encourage everyone to run for babies, to be able to give back to the community and to save babies. But I remember in the marathon, we reached, I think, I was walking, not running, but when we got to Molago roundabout, my legs couldn't carry me anymore. I was so exhausted. I wanted to cry. I regretted why I had joined the marathon, but I just kept pushing. I said, I am not going to go to enter the ambulance. I will walk back to Kololo. And I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. So that is the image that I had reading this book, that we need to be able to persist, make that one more phone call, send out that CV, that application, just do that one more, that one more thing in the different areas. So I encourage everyone to read this book. Yes, you've attended the review, but find the soft copy. We have it on the book club. Read it with your own life understanding, where you are right now, the areas you want to improve, and not only in the corporate space, but also in your personal, really personal space, especially with the emotions. Yeah, so I encourage you to do that. And we wanted to continue in the same kind of vibe and setting, and we've always wanted to read John C. Maxwell's book. And throughout, when you look at the 28 books we don't have any Maxwell. So this year we said, no, we shall end with Maxwell. And so we are reading Change Your, am I saying it right? Change Your World by John C. Maxwell. I think if you're on this call and you've started reading this book, you know it's a game changer. It's a game changer. It's a great, great book. I encourage you to start reading it really slow. It will usher you into the new year in amazing ways. many times we are inherently programmed that way, that we think inwards, we think about me, myself, my family, the ones I love. But this book is different. If we want to live in a different world, we need to be able to make small changes, make small decisions. If we are to change climate change, it has to begin with me. What am I doing differently? If it's sexism in the workplace, it has to begin with me. I need to be able to change the way I'm doing, the way I'm conducting myself. So I encourage you to read that book. I encourage you to attend the book review when we announce it. It's a great book. We are right now already working on our next 2023. We think 2023 is going to be a very big year for the book review. We are going to start our outreach part. We want to go into schools. I always tell people that we are learning many things at the age of 40, and yet our young teenagers and young girls can really benefit from reading books at a young age. And starting next year, we're going to go out and launch different book clubs in schools. So I want you to be part of the journey so we can change the world. So thank you so much for coming for this book review. Primera promised another gift to one of the people, so there are a number of people who have stayed behind. So my question is, mention one of our guest authors. You can type in the chat who, mention one of our guest authors who has been part of our book review. Once you get one name right, you'll be able to get the Girls for Girls journal. Mention one of our guest authors. We've had a number, I think four, I think, yeah. So you can mention one and then we close. Thank you all for coming. Someone says Klaire, oh my goodness. Oh my God. We have invited international authors to come and review their books with us. We just need one name. Winnie, your hand is up. Winnie, you can just unmute.
Doreen got first. Doreen in Sima.
But we had done, not cheap.
They're not cheap. Okay. Yeah, that's true. So Lois, there's Nancy.
I'm even an author. Someone has mentioned my name.
Oh my goodness.
By Nancy.
I think Winnie has failed to unmute. She put up her hand first, but
let me see. Winnie cannot answer.
hey.
Maybe she has a comment.
Okay,
Yeah.
then it's Nancy.
Done it,
Nancy.
okay, but I don't qualify anyway.
Nancy said Lois Franco.
So Winnie is you're part of